All right, we'll call the monthly meeting of the Board of Commissioners of the Fargo Park District to order Tuesday, March 10th at 5:30. With us in persons is Commissioner Dawson, Commissioner Griggs, and myself, and online Commissioner Deutsch and Commissioner Popacek. So we have a quorum. We're all here. Just two of us are here virtually. Item number one is the approval of minutes of the previous meeting. Do we have a motion?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes, minutes pass. Item number two, approval of the February bills. Do we have a motion on the bills for February?
So moved.
Commissioner Deutsch moves the approval of the bills.
Second.
Commissioner Griggs seconds. Jeff, pull the board.
Start with those in person tonight. Commissioner Griggs?
Aye.
Commissioner Dawson?
Aye.
Commissioner Deutsch?
Commissioner Deutsch?
Aye. Aye.
Commissioner Popacek?
Aye.
Commissioner ROSTAD?
Yes, the February bills are approved. Item number three, approve order of the agenda. Mr. Leaker, do we have any additions to the agenda?
No changes, Mr. President.
No changes to the agenda. All right. Do we have a motion on the agenda?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
All right. Audience, we have two members of the audience to recognize, but I think you're on the agenda, so unless you want special recognition, we'll move on with that one. All right, item number 5, Director's Report.
I got a couple items. President ROSTAD. One item that came up last week was a request from Sanford. They've got an event that's in association with our Roger Maris Golf Tournament. They're looking at having a full week of activities in conjunction with that event. This request is to use Island Park. They're looking at a whole series of events for adults and kids alike. And the one concern we had was it was the night before our Midwest Kids Fest, which is on a Friday, and we start setting up with that at 4 a.m. in the morning. We think as staff that we can figure out any issues that we're going to have and make things work. What we're looking at doing, there was a request possibly to close the pool, but what we'd like to do as staff is keep that pool open and keep half of that parking lot open. I think they're looking for the parking lot as maybe a food truck venue for this event. So I think between our staff, we think we can make this work. Sanford's been a great partner. It's possible in future years that maybe we combine our event with their event and have it a day-long event down in Island Park. So we think there's a possible win there for everybody. Kevin, if I missed anything, feel free to jump in.
Yeah, Commissioners, we met with Steve French, who's part of Folkways, which Sanford had hired Folkways to run this event. Initially, they did talk about having Island Park closed for that entire day. Steve, we just met with Jessica and I and Steve met today. He wants it to be a community event. You know, like Dave said, they just want to use probably half of that parking lot. The other half would be accessible for the patrons of the pool, and keep it an open pool day for the whole community. We even talked about the Sherling tennis courts if there was an issue, and he said, absolutely not. It's all about the community, all about using that park. So everything's a go right now. We'll work out those details. We'll have to work out an agreement because they're going to have band down there. They're going to have alcohol in the park, so we have to designate that area with Steve and make sure it's secured and all the legal stuff taken care of. So very good, productive meeting today. So we're moving ahead with all the little details that'll have to be worked out.
What's the date?
June 18th. Midwest Kids Fest is that 19th.
So it'd be a Thursday night and a Friday morning.
And as Dave said, we talked about even future stuff that we would possibly, you know, we've had a long-standing relationship with Sanford that donates money towards this event for us. Now with the Sanford group involved with the Maris group, can we turn this into a day-long or a week or a couple day-long event? So that's a possibility of future partnership with that.
So the event is Thursday night and Friday morning?
This event would probably be from 6 o'clock till, say, 10 o'clock. They're looking at also having a fireworks display that possibly may be shot off from maybe Dike East, the levee. They haven't confirmed where they're going to shoot the fireworks off yet, but it would be on Thursday night, and our event starts Friday morning.
Okay, so their event is only on Thursday evening?
Yep.
Got it.
Correct.
And they're very good about it. They're willing to lend all the manpower we need, person power we need, clean up their event. If we need any help, there's a possibility they may be setting up a tent for a gala, and if we would have any need for that tent, we could definitely use it. But they're definitely good partners and willing to help us out wherever needed.
Also, we talked about additional marketing that will be helping for our event on Friday, that Sanford would be paying for additional, even the day of the event that they have down there on Thursday to start to help promote our event on Friday. Also, eventually we'll meet with operations too to talk about if we have additional staff going down there to help clean up, Sanford would be willing to pay for that additional staff time too. So they're all in, we're all in.
So is the event free? Or the
It'll be free to
It
the
is
public,
free.
yes.
Yep.
So I'll jump in. I've been a volunteer at the Roger Maris Golf Tournament for close to 30 years, and this past year we've been working directly with Sanford to hand it off from a volunteer charitable group. Now that's a poor way to say it. A volunteer, nobody gets paid kind of organization that's been a family-run event, and we're turning it into, we're transitioning to Sanford to turn it into a not only a golf tournament but a Roger Maris All-Star Week. So in addition to golf going forward, we're having youth camps that are going to be free to kids, everything from esports to soccer, football. They're bringing in their bevy of celebrities. They're going to have a gala on Wednesday night at on 25th Street. What's that?
Avalon.
Oh, Avalon. They're doing a thing with the Red Hawks on Tuesday night. Thursday night is going to be the downtown thing. They've been working with Folkways. They just want to tie up the entire downtown, have a community event, open to the public. And so it's really a transformation of the Roger Maris Golf Tournament to the Roger Maris All-Star Week. And then the weekend is going to conclude with Roger Maris baseball tournaments that Fargo Youth Baseball is going to run. So that's kind of, and so this past year there's been a lot of heavy lifting going on in terms of migrating all of what was done in the past into the Sanford environment. So this is one of those that I think the clock just got away and they didn't get to the Park District fast enough. But I really appreciate the work you guys are doing to shore that up. And it sounds like we got everybody all on the same page here, so that's good.
Yep, so that's just kind of the update on that. Just a little update on the FMCT. That's Fargo Moorhead Community Theater. They're in the process of, they've shored up their roof, and we're working out a account for them so that they can pay the bills. Any future, they're probably looking at an insurance claim neighborhood of several $100,000. After our meeting today, they're also possibly looking at whether the Park District would be open to expansion of the FMCT a little bit. And so what we instructed them to do was put a proposal together and then send it to staff, and we'll look at that and then bring it to the commissioners. So just kind of want to let you know what's going on there. Another item that we found out this week was one of our light standards out at the Tharaldson Baseball Complex blew over in one of our heavy winds this wintertime. And, it was just good it happened in the wintertime. There wasn't anybody out there. Just from the pictures, it looks like the pole broke at the weld for the base plate. So we're currently working with our insurance company. So it's something you typically don't see. Typically poles will bend or something before they'll break at that weld. But we'll look at that with our insurance company. We'll look to get all the other welds inspected prior to the season opening, so we're on top of that. Just wanted to give you a heads up on that if you hear anything about a light standard blowing down. It was actually on the Starion field on the first base side, foul ball territory. So, and then the last thing we'd like to bring up, a couple meetings ago we talked about putting out an RFP for attorney services, And the commission asked us to put together, maybe a policy related to length of term of contracts. And so we went and looked at that, and while maybe we don't need to address the length of contracts or a term of a contract, just because everyone is so individualized, Tyson, our finance director, has been working on a procurement policy and several other guidelines that we need to do as staff. So maybe Tyson, if you want to just talk about, the procurement policy, and we'll be bringing that to the commissioners when we finalize that.
Yeah, so the procurement policy is more based on thresholds. We took some policies from Grand Forks Park District, Bismarck, the city of Fargo, Minot. We've kind of tried to compile those and kind of pull the relevant information and tailor it to our needs. But in there, we're not really setting the length of contract terms in there. It's more based on thresholds. So I know when we talked about the RFP for the attorney services, we wanted to refer back to our procurement policy. I don't know that the procurement policy is going to address that. I'm thinking in the contracts, it should be more defined within the contract. So if we want it to only go for 10 years, it should be defined in that contract that goes for 10 years. And at that point, we'll go to an RFP. But any questions or thoughts you guys have?
So I guess maybe our question to the commission is, do we want to go ahead and put this out for an RFP? Are you comfortable with that, or staff-wise?
I think that was the general consensus of the board when we talked about it in the past, but we just wanted to get those questions answered first. So do we need to have a motion on that? Do you want us?
I don't think we need a formal motion. I think we can just do that as staff, put that out. You'll get a bite at the apple when we bring those proposals back and the interview process, so.
Just to be inclusive, Rusty and Joe, do either of you have any questions or issues related to an RFP for the attorney services, legal services?
I couldn't hear Tyson real well. So are we talking about just doing attorney separate? Because I know we talked about maybe lumping them all together, and I guess I don't know how many other types of contracts that would involve.
Lumping the contracts together and setting a term for them, or? I guess I wasn't quite sure.
Yeah, there was one, but I thought we were just going to review how many other ones we had and then just have a general policy, but it sounds like you're asking now just to move forward with the attorney RFP.
Yes, exactly. I think we're looking at the attorney one right now, and then we'll review the other ones and see about renewals on those.
Really, our thoughts are each contract's going to be different. So we would like to address them within the contract rather than having kind of an overarching policy. Especially attorney services, you get familiar with your client. It may not make sense for us to go to RFP every 10 years. But in other instances, I'm going to present on the managed IT services tonight. Kind of a similar thing, but it maybe does make sense to go to every 10 years.
Sure. We talked, I think, at one point about combining the legal and the clerking. Where did we end up with that?
Oh, I guess that's something that we didn't actually look into that, but we can definitely look into that again prior to doing this.
Joe or Rusty, any other comments?
I'm comfortable.
I think that was a combined I'm okay.
Okay. Anybody here?
Do you think there are a lot of contracts that are just sitting out there without any kind of deadline, or, is it just this kind of like a one-off deal?
We're working on that internally. We've got a lot of agreements, contracts with school districts and the city, and we're trying to go through all those and actually get them on a spreadsheet or somewhere where we can manage them and then actually find out what the terms are so we know if they're due or not.
Okay.
I'll admit, I'm sure there are contracts that are past due or
Right.
that we need to get a hold of.
Okay.
So Marcy in our office is working on that. Marcy Brush is working on that right now, getting it onto SharePoint, which she can set dates that those things are coming due. I think she set them out for like 3 months prior to them becoming due. So we'll know ahead of time when we need to make action on those.
Okay.
But there's a lot of those that we need to clean up, those files and those agreements.
Okay.
That's all we have for an update.
So on the FMCT, are they full forward going ahead? They want to rebuild, or are they still exploration, or?
They're still in the exploration phase, and we've got to look at our actual lease with them and figure out the terms of that.
Okay. All right. Moving on, Foundation Director's Report. Brian Eric. Good evening, Brian.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. President. Just a couple items to update the board on. First of all, the foundation, next foundation board meeting is next Monday, so the 16th at 1:30 right here. Secondly, we have set the date for the 3rd annual Foundation Golf Classic. So that is going to be on May 27th at Rose Creek Golf Course. We'll be sending out save the date reminders shortly. This year for the event, we've decided to change kind of the thrust of the event just a little bit. The first couple of years, you know, it was kind of a friend raiser. This year, we're going to try to make it a fundraiser. You know, we're going to have whole sponsors and different things like that to try to raise, you know, $20,000, $30,000 with the event, which we are pretty confident, optimistic about. So just mark your calendars, save the date. Golfing or not, we'd love to have any and everyone there, of course. Other than that, I don't really have anything to report on for the Park District Foundation. Valley Senior Services Foundation just completed, after the last board meeting, a very successful Giving Hearts Day. Final totals are that we raised $148,000 this year, which was an incredible amount. I mean, more than double what we raised last year. We had one donor, anonymous donor, that gave us a gift of $75,000.
Wow.
Incredible donation, which helped, of course, to make that into a very successful day. So we're happy about that. We're making plans for next year, of course, to try and top this total now. I mean, we set the bar pretty high, but there's nothing wrong with that. So that was a happy event for us this year, and I wanted to share in that happiness with all of you.
With that being kind of special money, do you have a special plan for it, or are you just going to fold it into operations, or?
You know, Giving Hearts Day money as a whole has been used to help fund the Meals on Wheels program. This year we switched the focus just a little bit to encompass all of the services that VSS provides. So transportation, meals in general, the resource specialists. The person who gave the anonymous donation asked that we use it to expand what we do. You know, so that has helped us, and we've already added some service with our transportation program. We are working with Fargo Housing Authority on additional meal sites that are in the works, some new construction that they're working on. You know, so the challenge is to expand what we do, and we're happy to work on that. So that's what we're putting our efforts into.
Awesome.
That's great. Congratulations.
Thanks.
And you know, you still have the floor, so what do you have to throw out there?
Need drivers?
Meals on Wheels volunteers. Thank you, Commissioner Dawson.
Absolutely.
We're always looking for Meals on Wheels volunteers, Monday through Friday, about 11 o'clock in the morning, takes about an hour. We have donation or delivery sites in North Fargo, South Fargo, and West Fargo. So if anybody has some time to give, Monday through Friday around 11 o'clock, great experience, great opportunity to get to see a more frail segment of our population in town. We're always looking for volunteers, so 293-1440 is the way for somebody to sign up for that responsibility. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Brian. All right, moving on. Item 7, Board to review and consider for approval a lease proposal for the restaurant at the Edgewood Golf Course. Carolyn Boutain is presenting. Carolyn?
Commissioners, we are pleased to present in your packet for review and consideration a lease that has been created with Dave Glesner and Keith Stensgaard and Kevin Hall to open up Edgewood Tavern at the Edgewood Golf Course in North Fargo. We've put together that proposal with their involvement, and I can either go through it with some highlights or answer just questions that you have. What is your desire?
Does anybody have any questions regarding the lease agreement?
And also Dave and Keith are here if you would have some additional questions about the restaurant itself.
Well, if you want to go through some highlights, and then we'll see if I have any questions after that. How's that?
We can do that. The lease would be something that would start tomorrow, and that is accounted for in here, where it does start at the beginning of the month and then prorates, anytime before that. The lease is based on if they make money, we make money, so it is not a monthly rent, it is a percentage of their sales. In there is also the additions that for the shared expenses of the common areas with maintenance and expenses, the Park District would provide paper products. They will provide the labor to clean the bathrooms and those kinds of things. The site that they have access to is the rentals and opportunities in the chalet, as well as the clubhouse. The one thing that is been put off for discussion until later is whether or not they would operate the sledding hill and ski rentals. Because again, the focus should right now be on getting ready for the golf season. And so we have a deadline set up in there for that at a later date. Again, the standards for insurance are there. The standards for them to get their liquor license and take care of all of that appropriately with the city codes is in place. And again, it's something that we set up as a year because at this point, we're putting in $15,000 of equipment improvements and things for the building, but they're not going to be putting in any major moving the bar, moving walls, anything that changes the building. So at this point, we felt that it was to both parties' advantage that we would do it on a yearly basis until a bigger investment was made so that we could both kind of see how things are going and make sure the partnership is working. And again, that was one of the things that was negotiated through as we talked about what everybody's desire was for this. And this is a year-round restaurant. That's one thing, too, to be aware of.
Rusty or Joe, do you have any questions from your remote locations?
No, I don't. Carolyn, even on my end, everything looks good.
Okay.
Yeah, I talked to Dave, and he explained the shared maintenance at the front entrance and everything, so I think I'm good, too. Thank you.
All right. Anything here? Do we want a motion?
Let me just ask a question quick.
Okay.
Because, I am me. What do we expect 7% to be? I mean, do we have a ballpark idea what we expect to bring from this place? How much does Big Herbs pay us?
I will defer to Tyson as he's run the numbers for us.
All right.
So Big Herbs is a different arrangement. It's flat rate. What Bietz used to do was around $600,000 to $650,000, so it'd be in the $40,000 range. Talking to Keith and Dave, they think they could do up to $1 million. I think they're pretty hopeful. But I think either way, we're going to be ahead from where we are. Where we were with Bietz.
Mm-hmm. Well, I would expect that, right? We're going for all the way to the moon, right?
So we're hoping for $1 million this first year, but.
Exactly.
Vicki, you can think of it that every time you eat and drink up there, that you're giving 7% back to the park.
Absolutely. Right, now you're thinking, Rusty, now you're thinking.
When do you think you'll open?
That's the question of the month, I guess. Until I get in there and just turn things on, our goal date is 30 to 45 days,
Okay.
Unless, something, after we get in there and start utilizing the space, I want to, there's no definite answer, I guess, until everything's running.
Okay.
It's just so hard being a new business coming in and I want to make sure everything's correctly done, so this isn't a, you know, I want that first appearance when everybody comes out there, they're very impressed. I think we need to build that again. And feedback that I've got from a lot of people, they're excited for us being out there and everything. The men's club have been all contacted me and really excited because a lot of them have worked with me before and it's just know what my standards are. So they really are looking forward to it.
Okay.
So if you couldn't hear remotely, he basically said it's hard to tell, turn everything on, probably 30 to 45 days. And we want to do it right to capture good vibes with the first patrons in there. Is that fair?
Thank you, Jerry.
Any other questions, or do we have a motion?
I'll move to approve as presented. At Edgewood Golf Course as presented.
Sounds like 1 and 2.
Joe?
Joe.
I agree with Rusty. Second.
So Rusty's got the motion and Joe's got the second. Any further discussion?
Do we need to note that that's Joe?
All right, Jeff, call the vote.
Commissioner Griggs?
Aye.
Commissioner Dawson?
Aye.
Commissioner Deutsch?
Aye.
Commissioner Popacek?
Aye.
Commissioner ROSTAD?
Yes, the motion passes. Congratulations.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you. Moving on to item 8, something a little less glamorous. We're going to buy some equipment maybe. Dave Bietz is presenting on some bids for some park equipment and sports turf and golf equipment. Hi, Dave.
Hi. Thank you, Mr. President. Commissioners, included in your packet are the results of a bid that we conducted on February 11th. This is for our annual park and golf and sports turf equipment. The first item is item 8A, which is a track skid steer loader that we had bid out. With this bid, we only had one bidder, which isn't uncommon when it comes to machines of this nature. You know, going back, we haven't purchased one of these for a few years, and going back, we only had one bid at that time as well. Going way back, we did have two, and when we've reached out to other vendors to see you know, why they don't bid outside of Bobcat and Swanson Equipment, it's pretty evident that the other vendors get out-competed each time, and so many of them just don't even want to put forth a bid anymore just because they know that Bobcat is very aggressive in the state of North Dakota, and they are wanting to ensure that their equipment sits with most municipalities. So that's kind of the brief background behind why we only got one bid. I don't like when that happens. I'm sure you guys don't either. But just to give you some information there. When we opened the bids, we actually got two quotes from Swanson Equipment. One was for a T650 Bobcat, which is what we're advocating for. The other one was for a T76 Bobcat, which is just a series above the T650. The T650 meets all of our needs. Both machines met spec. This fits within our budget range. This is similar to other machines that we already currently have. So that's the reason why we're not asking to exceed our budget and go with this machine. So that price came in at $53,053. We did have $55,000 budgeted for this machine. So I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions? Proceed on.
Thank you.
Do you want a separate motion for each one, or?
I guess I was going to ask that. I don't know if
Yeah, we usually
legal-
do these
okay.
separate. Yeah.
Okay. So I'll make a motion to approve and award Swanson Equipment the park equipment bid for the Bobcat T650 in the amount of $53,053.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Joe or Rusty, do you have anything?
No, Dave, appreciate your hard work and the research every time you bring these forward.
Thank you.
No further discussion. Jeff will take the vote.
Commissioner Griggs?
Aye.
Commissioner Dawson?
Aye.
Commissioner Deutsch?
Aye.
Commissioner Popacek?
Aye.
Commissioner ROSTAD.
Yes, we own a new skid steer.
Thank you. Moving on to item 8B, this one's a little more complicated. Here we did get multiple bidders for our golf and sports turf equipment. Once we opened up the bids, it was evident that there was a front runner in the way the pricing went out. So included in your packets is not only a pictorial representation, but also the bid tab, and then also a written out basic description of what met for each item and why we're recommending to go the way we're recommending for each and every item. So it kind of boils down to, we'd recommend to take the package price from MTI equipment, which is items 1 through 4 and items 6 through 10. And then we would recommend going with the 70-inch tournament greens roller through Turfworks, which is item 5. So what we're recommending there is the MTI package came in at $333,365. And Turfworks item came in at $18,327. So what we're asking for is to approve these purchases in the total amount of $412,453. Oh, excuse me, $351,692. We had $412,453 budgeted overall for all of these pieces of equipment. So I'd be happy to try and answer any questions you may have.
So these are replacement machines? What do you do with the old machines? Do they just fall apart, or do you sell them, or?
A little bit of both. We've, through our experience and history, we know with certain machines that they do hold a resale value, so we'll take advantage of that. Many times, some of these machines, especially if they're on a golf course, let's say, like some of the golf carts and some of the rotary mowers, those will get handed down into some of our sub-locations where we've got shops like a Lindenwood or an Oak Grove, and they'll, live there for another couple years if there's still life in them. Some of them, they are just at the end of life at this time, and they are just a pure replacement.
Okay.
And the only one that is a true add is the greens roller. This is to help expedite our greens rolling process in the morning. So that one is just a true add to the fleet.
Mm-hmm. And do you leave that at one golf course, or do you transport it?
We do. We used to do the transporting, but it just came to it's such a normal part of the maintenance routine right now that we're getting to the point of having them stationed at each golf course. We found there's an efficiency there from the transport, and there's additional wear and tear when we do that, and plus additional staff time and equipment just to haul it back and forth from spot to spot.
And are you going to be rolling or double rolling the greens this year?
I never even knew double rolling was a thing, and I know for some tournaments they do that, but usually it's primarily just the single rolling.
I just had to throw that in there.
Yeah.
Only golf nerds would know that.
First, she wants to know where the equipment goes to live out its end days, and then she wants to know about double rolling.
That's all I have.
It's good inside baseball now, I know double rolling. Joe or Rusty, anything?
Nope.
Motion. Anybody want to put a motion out there?
I'm good. Thank you.
Okay.
Is it written on here somewhere?
It is.
Since it's a combo thing. I move that we approve and award MTI Distributing the package equipment bid for items 1 through 4 and items 6 through 10 listed in the amount of $333,365, and to approve and award Turfworks the equipment bid for item number 5 in the amount of $18,327.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any final discussion? Jeff, take the roll call.
Commissioner Griggs.
Aye.
Commissioner Dawson.
Aye.
Commissioner Deutsch.
Aye.
Commissioner Popacek.
I'll recuse myself based on my employer being a bidder in this.
Absolutely. Commissioner ROSTAD.
Yes. So the motion passes.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you, Dave. Item number 9, board to consider for approval managed IT services contract, Tyson Lund presenting.
Thank you. Commissioners, the Park District has used the same IT company for many different years. The company was recently acquired by another company. We've seen their costs go up dramatically and their level of service go down. So we had some discussions internally. We decided that we should probably go to proposals and evaluate other vendors that are out there. So on December 17th, 2019, we received 6 different proposals. Dave Bietz, Tyler Kirchner, and myself scored each proposal. We scored them based on experience, monitoring, maintenance, backup, security, reporting, SharePoint experience, the price, with some various other factors. After going through that process, we selected 2 companies for a formal interview on January 31st. So it's Corporate Technologies and Network Center. And after evaluating each company, we are recommending moving forward with Corporate Technologies. A couple reasons for that. One, Corp Tech is utilized by both West Fargo Parks and Grand Forks Parks. They're highly recommended by both of them. They have experience with governmental entities. They also have some experience with similar size entities as the Park District. And they also seem to be able to provide the best value. There's significant cost savings between Corp Tech and Network Centers, which was the next comparable company, and even more savings from what we're currently paying right now. So included in your packet is a copy of the proposed contract, some key components of the contract. Monthly service fee is $5,055 a month. There is an initial one-time fee of $2,572. Price increase is capped 5% year over year. They provide 43.5 on-site project hours every month. If we go over that, it's $125 an hour, but they've assured us that 43.5 hours is more than enough. They feel strongly that we won't go over that unless we had some major projects. And then it's a 1-year initial term with the option to renew year over year for 10 years. So after 10 years, it'll max out. We'll have to go to an RFP at that point and evaluate other companies. So Dave Bietz, myself, I thought Tyler was going to be here tonight, but I guess not. So we can try to answer any questions you guys may have.
Any questions for Tyson?
No, but I commend you guys for realizing things are getting beyond where you felt comfortable and taking the time to do this. It's a big deal.
We spent a lot of time at facilities. I was asking a lot of questions. This is my day job, but I'm very comfortable with where we're at. Any motions? Do we have any other conversation or any motions on item number 9?
I move we approve the contract with Corporate Technologies for managed IT services as presented.
Second.
Second.
Third.
Too slow.
Yeah. All right, any other conversation? Discussion? Jeff, pull the board.
Commissioner Griggs?
Aye.
Commissioner Dawson?
Aye.
Commissioner Deutsch?
Aye.
Commissioner Popacek?
Aye.
Commissioner ROSTAD?
Yes. Managed IC services contract passes. Item 10.
President, this is Rusty. I need to excuse myself because of my meeting. I'm really doing it because I'm refusing to believe that it's going to flood again. So but I need to go. Have a good night. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye, Rusty.
See ya. All right, let's go to item 10. We'll continue with Tyson Lund. Board to consider for approval resolution to declare emergency exists for 2020 flood, but based on what Rusty said, I don't think we even need to entertain this.
There we go. So once again, a major flood's forecasted for Fargo this spring. Staff is requesting that the board approve a resolution to declare emergency exists for 2020. The resolution allows us to move quickly. We can waive the advertising period that we usually have to do for any purchases over $50,000. We still have to go get bids, make sure we're getting the best value. It's just we can move a little faster. In your packets, a copy of the resolution. It's the same resolution that we had approved last year, basically. The only difference is last year the threshold was 25,000. Century Code changed this year, so anything above 50,000 needs to be approved. But I can answer any questions that you guys may have.
Pretty straightforward.
Yep, good to be ahead of the game.
Yep.
I think if we sign it, then it won't flood,
Right.
so.
Perfect.
And I got a
I agree.
50-50 shot of being right.
Well, personal story, my snowblower died on the last blizzard, so I went out and bought a new one, and we've had 3 inches of snow since, so.
Oh, good. Did you buy flood
I
insurance?
bought flood insurance too, so
We're
there's
safe.
no flood.
Double up.
All right, Jeff, why don't you?
Oh, we need to make a
Oh, we-
motion.
I'll move we approve the resolution to declare an emergency exists for the 2020 flood as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Let's take the vote. Jeff?
Commissioner Griggs?
Aye.
Commissioner Dawson?
Aye.
Commissioner Deutsch?
Aye.
Commissioner Rosted?
Yes, the motion passes. Last item, board to consider for approval updated transit Title 6 plan. Paul Grindelin, and when you get to come to these meetings, it seems like you're always the last one on the agenda,
I
so.
always appreciate your save the best for last.
That's right.
I've heard that about you guys. President Rosted and Commissioners, you have a copy of our updated Title VI Transit Plan for Valley Senior Services. And every 3 years, we are required to update it. This update that's before you is really not that comprehensive. They just moved a few things around. We create this from a template that North Dakota DOT sends us. So, it's nothing that I've made up on my own. It's under their direction. They moved a few things around. We updated some demographics in our limited English proficiency section of the plan. So I can go into a little more detail if you'd like, or if you have some questions about what this is all about, I'd be happy to answer them and go over it a little bit if that's what you'd like. What it really comes down to for our transit agency is that our policy is that we provide access to all individuals, regardless of their race, color, national origin, or their limited ability to speak, write, or understand English. If we do all that, if we just provide service like we're supposed to everyone who asks for service, we won't have any problem or even a need for a Title VI plan, but it's required that we have it in place. So just for that reason alone, we're able to establish that's our policy. The limited English proficiency part of it is that we have a guideline in this plan to help us translate, make our, any of our printed materials, or if we have to visit with somebody with limited English speaking ability, this plan just outlines how we're going to do that, so that they have access to our services. And then the public participation part of it is that it gives us also a guideline to get the word out about our services, that our services are open to the public, that our services are open to anyone, regardless of their race, color, and national origin, and that we just make an effort to have open meetings and have opportunities at board meetings specifically to talk about our services and answer any questions about our services. We've never had a Title VI complaint, so that's really good. I think we're doing what we're supposed to be doing, and this plan will just help us continue to do that.
Who pays for the translator?
We do, the agency, Valley Senior Services.
Like, you just use a call-in?
We do work with some translators in the community. There are a couple of organizations that provide translation services. We've done that, especially with our resource people who go out and visit with seniors, and they will contact this organization and meet them out there, and they will translate. We haven't actually had that happen for the transit service, but for other services we have. So we are familiar with those services, and yes, we would have to pay for those.
I would assume as time goes by, given the changing demographics of our community, you're going to see this more and more.
Yes.
And do we budget accordingly now or later? Or?
Well, that's a good point. I don't believe, Brian, do we have a budget for that part of our service?
For translator services?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, we would just cover that as a routine operating
We
expense.
don't have a budget.
I mean, we're not talking about tens of
No,
thousands of
I
dollars.
understand.
It would
You
be
know,
a
I'm-
rather minimal expense.
I'm just thinking of the population that's here, and as they get older, if they aren't learning the English language, you're going to see more and more of them as time goes by.
Well, I think that's that's a good point, because if you look at the limited English part of it, the demographics of the 250,000 people that live in our service region, 17,400 speak a language other than English. And they've determined that 6,400 are limited English speaking. And that's probably up by 2,000 more at least since the last time we've done this plan.
Sure.
So I think you're onto that you're onto something there that it is going to increase, and we will make plans accordingly.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Any other questions for Paul? Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the updated Valley Senior Services Title VI plan as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further conversation? Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
All right, Jeff?
Commissioner Griggs,
Aye.
Commissioner Dawson,
Aye.
Commissioner Deutsch,
Aye.
Commissioner ROSTAD.
Yes. Motion passes. And with that, motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone.